I wanted to help you sooner. The sound of Ichinose's breathing ceases. Only the stench of blood remains. Ichinose is dead. So, who stabbed him though? Go out into the hallway. Is this a good idea? But we have no choice, it seems. So bright. As I open the door, my face is illuminated by what seems like an impossible bright light. A man with a flashlight is standing quietly and looking at me. Is this Mikozuka? In his other hand, he holds a blood-stained knife. He must have been the one who stabbed Ichinose. What? Oh, it's him? Mr. Funabashi, you stabbed Mr. Ichinose? Or maybe he's also controlled, by the sound? Looking more closely, I noticed that the flashlight is not in his hand, but balanced on his shoulder. Funabashi is standing with his back to the door. In fact, it looks like he's slumped against it. Something is dripping. The flashlight slips from his shoulder, and he pitches forward, slumping on the ground. Mr. Funabashi! No, not you too! Picking up the flashlight, I turn it on him. He appears to have been struck from behind by a blunt instrument. I can see a lot of blood coming from his head. He was probably killed instantly. The scream I heard before, it was Funabashi's. I can't stand it anymore. Someone, help me. I look at Funabashi's face. It seems full of regret and angst. Mr. Funabashi, why? Why do you look so sad? In the basement lie the dead bodies of Ichinose and Funabashi. But who killed Funabashi? There is Funabashi's dead body. Return to the first floor, advance along the hallway. Well, I guess advance. An unfamiliar smell strikes my nostrils. To the mummy's room, to the room with the locked door. With the locked door means the door we couldn't open? Okay. This is the disused seminar room. Okay. Up ahead is the door, locked with an authentication system. I try to trigger it again, but as if sensing my fear, it does not budge. I don't want to be here. Okay. The mummy's room. The dead body of a pregnant woman lies before me. It doesn't look like anyone has been able to move it for a long time. Search the body. I discover a small folded piece of letter paper. It looks like a formal document. On the front, it bears the words, "To Tamiko." Reads the letter. Dear Tamiko, rest in peace. I am Asumi Kamijo, your last daughter. The last baby to whom you gave birth. In your stead, I will avenge all of the wrongs that you have endured. and with my scissors, I will put an end to this vile laboratory. So this dead body is her mother. Okay, so then like about 20 some years ago, some experiment was going on, and she gave birth. So she had several babies, I guess, and maybe the father of these babies is Mikozuka. So that's why that old lady, told Asumi like, so welcome back or something like that. I don't know. Reading this note, it doesn't occur to me to worry about who I might be. When I read it, all that I feel is an overwhelming sense of obligation. The fifth report. I must get it. This is the deceased cemetery. I am starting to get a vague sense of who I am and what this security system is designed to detect. I should be able to enter now. Attempt authentication. Device identity confirmed. Asumi Kamijo. Strange. So, what's the difference? Door unlocked. I understand now how to open the door. This device not only analyzes a person's voice, but also analyzes a person's will. This door can't be opened by a person who is in a state of fear or under duress. The device unlocks the door only when a particular person attempts to enter of their own free will. Enter the room. It doesn't look like anyone is here. It's a small room, perhaps some sort of anteroom for the experiment lab. Is anybody here? Please, show yourself. There is no sign of life. It looks like no one is here. What is that noise? From the rear of the room comes the whir of machinery. There is a monitor. It's a computer. Has this been on the whole time? Suddenly, I feel a chill run up my spine. Anybody there? And then somebody appears. Me? What? Is this a hologram? But this three-dimensional figure looks so real. Can it really be a hologram? Authenticating. Identity confirmed. Asumi Kamijo. Opening fifth report. A computer monitor is turned on automatically. The fifth report, buried here underground for so long, is finally about to be displayed. Lab report, Asumi Kamijo. This data is protected. Access is only possible from a specific IP address in the public prosecutor's office. Background. This lab's origins go back more than 30 years. In an era when Japan enjoyed strong economic growth, This lab was built by certain men. Exactly who commissioned the construction of the lab remains unknown. Indeed, that individual has almost certainly passed on. Whatever the source, over $1 billion was invested in the lab, and the money kept on flowing. Mikozuka Lab was built in a deserted area near Taito Institute of Technology. Officially, it was always positioned as one of Taito's many postgraduate labs. The research conducted at the Mikozuka Lab explores the very nature of humanity in a new way. The ultimate goal of the lab was to create a controlled human life, in other words, to play God. The areas of study were extremely disparate, but they all felt under the one euphemistic umbrella: Integrated Human Development Studies, IHDS. The research was incredibly variable, but occasionally it would cross ethical lines. Under a policy of absolute secrecy, they would recruit the most brilliant students. Most of the students had neither family nor relatives, which meant that even when they died, there was no one who would cry for them. This made them more likely to spend more time in the lab, focusing on the research. Moreover, it also helped prevent any fear of information leaks from the lab. And should one of the students, bothered by their conscience, betray the lab and its secrets? Well, the solution was simple. Just make it so that they never existed. Remember, these people had no one who would cry upon learning of their deaths. There was no bereaved family to cast doubt upon the lab's official version of events. The IHDS research was not done in response to requests from the military or the like. And not all of the research conducted was unethical. The desire to know our origins and to create and control others is a uniquely human trait. I believe that all humans want to understand the structure of humanity. This is not a noble or cerebral desire. Rather, it is something that is driven more by instinct. As evidence of this assertion, Mikozuka Lab experienced almost no dropouts. Students here were so devoted to the research that crossed ethical lines, myself included. I do not believe that the students should be blamed for their ethical violations. They were simply doing what most of us would do in their situation. No, the blame lies with others. It is the purpose of this thesis to clarify where that blame lies. Chapter 2. Additional remarks about the thesis. My research as a student of Mikozuka Lab is detailed in the latter half of this report. My research has yielded revolutionary results. It may even change the world. This achievement belongs to me alone. In addition, though, I will also accuse those in the lab guilty of the crime of murder. This program and this room are locked by my voice print. Until the day I am ready to make my accusations public, no one can see it but me. The voice recognition system responds not only to my voice, but also to my free will. Even if I'm captured and made to unlock the door, the program will not respond. To erase the fifth report, one must erase the hard disk, which means that, together with the details of the crimes, my research will also be erased. Those who wish to learn of the achievements of my research cannot erase it. Should my intentions be found out, and I am killed, the fifth report will remain. That means that even if I die, there is a ray of hope. Chapter 3. How I learned the truth. I was raised as the daughter of Takehiro Mikozuka, professor of this lab. I was also assigned to this lab as a research student in the master's course officially. My father forced me to choose this path, but even without him, I would have done so. I have always known I was a scientist. I have been one since the day I was born. I know how science has enriched the lives of humans, and how many lives it has saved. I also know that truly revolutionary research often fails to win society's approval. I understood that the research my father and his students conducted was truly necessary. Even research regarded as heretical in its own time may prove invaluable in the future. Most of the time, it is too late to start researching when people need the technology. We loved science and the people of the world. That served as our ethical code. Until that day, I knew nothing, but I was proud to work on such advanced research. I was devoted to my mission until that day, the day I went to the basement. It was almost as if I was tempted by an evil spirit. By chance, I found out where my father put his ID card, and my curiosity got the better of me. I opened the door to the basement, into which students were prohibited from venturing. There were layers of sealed doors. The whole thing was unlike anything else in the lab. In the back of the basement, I found a dead woman, her body dried up and sealed away. When I saw the body and the queer sight of the room, I intuitively knew what was happening here. Then I felt somebody standing behind me, trembling with fear, my father, Takehiro Mikozuka. He looked like he didn't know what to do with me. I think the choice I made that day was the right one. I accepted all I saw there. Then I asked my father if I could conduct research in the underground lab myself. Thereafter, it became usual for me to go down to the basement and work there. I will write about my research and why it received the lab's approval later on. While I carried out my research in the underground lab, I also investigated the lab's past. I found out how many children born to Tamiko, a surrogate mother, had died while still very young. I discovered that clones had been born as a result of certain experiments in this lab. One such clone still lived, born from a specially manipulated what is this word? Zygote? Zygote, I don't know. He had Werner's syndrome. He was named Shinichi. I couldn't find any information about Tamiko, but I know she gave birth to many children. After she gave birth to the last child, she was worn out and died, filled with resentment. I did some research into the last child she gave birth to. The child's genes were identical to those of a genius scientist, long dead. In other words, this child was born as a clone of that extraordinary scientist. Tamiko's last child, the clone of the scientist. Her name is Asumi Kamijo. I am the last child. For my mother, Tamiko, who gave birth to me and died unhappily, I decided to write this fifth report. Now that I know the secrets of this lab, Aso and the others regard me as dangerous. Aso? What is Aso? The only reason I am still alive is because my research is valuable to them. But my betrayal of them may be discovered at any time, and I could be killed. There might not be a chance to give this fifth report to the relevant parties. Chapter 4. Past Crimes and Criminals. Yozo Aso, the former Minister of Education, was behind everything that happened. Takehiro Mikozuka was the one who accepted money and continued the research. This was before I was born, some 22 years ago. Recently, clone technology has earned more acceptance. At that time, though, even animal cloning was abhorred, let alone the idea of cloning human beings. The principle of cloning technology wasn't difficult. The technology existed even back then. They implanted fertilized eggs, which had their genes manipulated into a surrogate mother. Many cloned children were born. Among them, only Shinichi and I still survive. However, records suggest that they made many more children from two sets of genes, one female and one male set. As for what happened to those other clones, I do not know. There was another person who was an assistant 22 years ago. He knew all the facts and was heavily involved in all the experiments. Tamiko, surrogate mother. So many children were born to satisfy intellectual curiosity and died so very young. Some of the researchers never knew the truth and yet were killed to keep the lab's secrets. Unless the hammer of justice is brought down upon Yozo Aso, there will be still more victims. What Aso is currently getting the lab to do, and what Assistant Professor Haibaro is up to now. The lab's secretiveness has meant that I do not know the answers to these mysteries. But if I don't let the world know about this lab, it will continue to be a danger to the innocent. Chapter 5. What to do with this report? Even if this fifth report is made known, Aso may suppress the truth with his great power. He might even pressure the police department. The hope is that the media will expose the truth and the public will force an investigation. At that time, I may no longer be alive, but Shinichi will be available to testify. I hope Mikozuka Lab and Aso will be investigated, and the world will learn the truth. While he has Werner syndrome, Shinichi is aware of the truth behind all of this. The first step is to secure Shinichi's safety and allow him to tell his story. I wonder who this Shinichi is. His evidence should prove the allegations contained within this fifth report. I pray that Yozo Aso and others will be brought to justice by good people. I also pray for those poor souls who have died in this place, that they may rest in peace. Acknowledgements. As is customary at the end of a thesis, I would like to thank those who have helped me. All of the students in this lab were pure-hearted in their desire to help the world. Most of them were unaware of the possibility that their research could be misused. Among those students, Mr. Sheena helped me a lot. In his own understated way, he was very kind. He took care of me on several occasions. I often felt him keeping a gentle eye on me. Maybe he had an inkling of what I was going to do. I remember that Mr. Kakizaki almost found out about my mission. Had he known my secret, I know he would not have handled it. I am glad that he never knew. They and younger students who will come later are all pure of heart. Their only fault is their naivete. All of them have ambition and wish to produce research that will help the human condition. If they are accused as a result of this document, I want it known that they are blameless. I want to mention Takehiro Mikozuka, my adopted father, who both created and raised me. He committed a serious crime, and he must pay for his actions. I know that he regrets his actions. A man of science, he lost sight of his own moral compass. My father is a pure scientist, but he is also a weak man. It is an indisputable fact that he did as Aso told him to do, and that is a terrible sin. But it is also a fact that he raised me well. It is the love of science he taught me that makes me unable to forgive what the lab has done. And now, I'm writing this thesis. It's quite possible that I owe all I am to him. When he talked about science, about his research, he was so passionate and so gentle. When I found the dead body in the basement and I agreed to cover up his crime, the look I saw in his eyes was not relief, but despair. I couldn't look him in the eye. His love for science had driven him to cross a line, and I know he was ashamed. I felt like he did not want me, his daughter, to make the same mistake. But he is a weak man. He does not have the strength to repent for his sins and come clean. That is why I must do this instead of him. He must be judged. But I want him to know just how hard this is for me to do. When this fifth report is completed, I do not know whether he will seek to suppress it, or whether he will embrace me as my father. Thinking these thoughts here in this gloomy basement and typing this thesis, I feel like I am powerless to resist the binds of fate. I feel like my fate has been determined ever since the day that I was born. Because I am a believer in science, I believe all phenomena can be explained by scientific principles. Indeed, I believe all activity in the universe is explicable by science. However, I believe there is one exception, human fate, that is up to the individual and to God. I do not wish for there to be any more people like myself, whose fate is determined at birth. I want, at least, the curious case of my life to have some meaning. I hope that the publication of this fifth report will make that happen. Asumi Kamijo. It's okay. What? Well, I have to choose one of these. Chapter 4 later. Okay. Chapter 5. Finish reading. Okay. After carefully putting the CD-ROM away, I shut down the computer. The figure of Asumi reappears. Its gaze lands upon another door with the same authentication system. Beyond the door is a staircase. The staircase seems to lead to the area outside the lab. Climb the stairs.